All right, number 3.
My question regards selective enforcement. In an association where enforcement is based on violation complaints received, and you therefore proceed to try to deal with those kind of violations, and it goes to a certain limit if you have homeowners, surprise, who don't change and comply with the rules and regulations, and you try to proceed forward, the board is hesitant to do anything because they're afraid to be sued based on selective enforcement. Our hands as a committee have been tied. There's nothing we can do. So the question is there a better system by which you would not be assumed to be doing selective enforcement when you are in fact doing your best? Are you then, when you get a complaint, oh, my neighbor's garbage cans are in the wrong place, is it then our job to tour the entire park and find everybody's cans in the wrong place and do everyone? Or would you not be considered in selective? Do you see the kind of catch-22 here?
Number 4. All right, I didn't hear that. All right, let's talk a little bit about selective enforcement. That's a loaded question.
I thought so.
You're setting me up. So, with selective enforcement, we're talking about an issue where the duty is to treat every member fairly. And you can only do the best you can do, okay? So when there's a situation where you have somebody complaining about selective enforcement, you're picking on me, one of the options could potentially be is, well, first, you want to find out if that's the case. And if it is, change it. The real question is, does that mean you have to then proactively go out with your notebook, with your high-def camera, and start walking in the 115-degree heat to every single house with your ladder to peek over the backyards? No, or get your drone. Get your drone. Do drone. Much faster.
That won't get me in trouble at all.
Yeah, that wouldn't get you in trouble at all. You should read my article on drone enforcement. It's a fun one. But anyways, the bottom line is that it goes to reasonableness. We talked about duty to enforce, duty to selective enforcement, treating members fairly. It all is what is reasonable. And it's hard to answer the question because reasonableness is subjective. And it's based on facts and circumstances that are different everywhere. But one of those potential solutions can be, if you have somebody that's complaining about selective enforcement, you say, okay, please let me know what you're talking about. If they give you a list of a bunch of places where they potentially see violations, you can confirm it and look at the record. But here's the problem you get with homeowners sometimes on that. If they provide a big list, sometimes those violations are grandfathered in. What if the developer declares the one that built it? The homeowner, innocently so, doesn't know that a declaring developer built that big guest bedroom in the back that's prohibited by the CCNRs. It's grandfathered. If the developer declarant does it at the beginning, you can't enforce that. No judge in the world's going to let you enforce that. But the other thing, is sometimes you'll get these back. All I'm simply saying here, I know I'm rambling a little bit because I'm trying to come up with ways to answer the question, but at the same time, there's a million different answers to that question. The bottom line is you just need to act reasonably, and at the end of the day, if you consult with a qualified attorney that knows all of the facts and circumstances about your community, and then you rely on that advice, most of the time you're safe.
So there is no excuse for a board to say we don't want to act because we're afraid to be sued.
Let's not, I didn't catch that part. So being afraid to be sued is not justification for not enforcing.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, if you send out a huge notice and there's some back and forth on things and the board ends up entering into a settlement agreement that's signed off by their attorney to avoid a lawsuit, maybe, but you just can't put a stay and a moratorium on enforcement for fear of being sued. That actually causes more problems. There's case law on that, like Pam said.
I do agree. Thank you.
Yep. Bill, right?
Bill.
Yeah, Bill, you're number 5. Let's do it.
I wish you to address communications a little bit. We live in a digital world increasingly now. It's very easy to communicate. We just sent out an email to 450 members. We're not part of the board. We're not approved by the board. But this is done because folks feel like there's a lack of communication, right, from the board. So these kind of things will happen in a digital world. And I'm wondering what your experience is, or what kind of issues will fall out of that. You have things like web pages, Facebook, emails. I've heard it referred to as email hell. So I would just take a minute and discuss that.
All right, so removing myself from a specific question, if we have, here's an example. We have a board that is giving out information on their own, however they're giving it out. And then a group of other homeowners form a group or coalition to start emailing or Facebooking or chatting or whatever about their personal opinions or items.
Or sharing documents.
Or sharing documents, or whatever, group sharing, whatever it's going to be. Is that 1, illegal? No. Is that 2, inappropriate? Only if you get to defamation, slander, that kind of thing. Because in looking at all the cases that I've seen, in fact, there's a case that's on YouTube with one of my friends at another firm where they were trying to stop this kind of a thing from occurring, and the judges really were like, they're homeowners, they have a right to their own opinion, and if a bunch of homeowners want to get together and talk about stuff, that's fine. Where you run into potential problems is if you start, discussing things in a public forum where it can cause a litigious atmosphere. Now, having said that, I do know one attorney that was trying to put a kibosh on it, and I think it's being litigated now, but I think he thinks it has a pretty good argument. And the argument that he's trying to make is these are private corporation records that shouldn't be out in the public domain. We're living in a non-profit corporation, so if you want to express your grievances and everything else, just protect it, put it in a password so that it's only exchanged among members in a private domain setting and not a public domain setting, so it's not disclosed to the public at large. Whether or not I think a judge is going to listen to it and agree with that is yet to be seen, because let's just face it, most of the courts out there, the judges, when they get these kinds of lawsuits arguing about whether a homeowner can talk about their opinion with other homeowners about an issue, they look at it and they go, why are you wasting my time? This is just wasting my time. I'm not gonna rule sue the reading. Just
Emails can easily be forwarded. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just wide open out there.
Yeah. As far as, but I will say, if there's a good reason behind it, if there is a coalition of people that really feel like they don't have enough information, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. Then again, you just have to be careful. Like I said, people have to be careful with how they share the information and how it's shared.
Okay, in regards to a management company, I'll just go with round numbers here. So I don't do that. Typically, what it comes down to is, I know a lot of people think, oh, management company, huge fee. That's not the case. So I'm gonna give you just a cost analysis of 1,000 homes that I just did with 3 on-site staff. I had a manager, assistant, kind of an admin person, and a maintenance person, so 3. The management fee for the 1,000 units was $1,500 a month, plus their salaries. And we do have a markup on the salaries of 10%, and that's basically payroll administration, but it also includes human resources. I have a human resource specialist that takes care of all the employees in my company. There's something else to consider. As a self-managed, the one I just took on, 1,000 units, they have 3 employees, and they were paying a workman's comp policy, workers' compensation, to cover any accidental issues or anything that happens to those employees. And basically, we were talking earlier about relying on professionals. There's also a way to move the liability off the association onto a third party. We took those employees onto our payroll and onto our workers' comp policy because we have over 200 employees, so you get a little bit better rate. The association paid for their share of the workers' comp, but it reduced that cost to the association by $18,000 as opposed to what they were paying for workers' comp. So there's adjustments that are gonna happen if you're going from self-managed to full management, but having the HR side as well provides for background checks, drug screening, things like that on any employees on the property. And there was also a reduction in insurance costs for the association because they were being charged a higher rate being self-managed. When they went to professional management, the rate dropped a bit because there are professionals now managing, and they assumed that the risk will be less because the board was not in charge any longer of, managing the community that professionals were. So that dropped too. Total savings in the 1,000-unit community at the end of the year, I think came out around $20,000 from going from direct hire, employees to moving to a management company. It was $1,500 a month, the management fee itself. And when you hire the management company, you get this $1,500. It was $1.50 a door when you divide by 1,000 homes. Yeah, the management fee is $1.50 a door. But it depends on the association. I have another one in Washington State that it's an active adult community. They've got 60 employees because they have full charge landscaping and everything. They own 2 golf courses. They have 18 buildings. So when you look at something like that, the management fee is a little bit more because we have a lot more employee usage that goes into managing that community. So it depends on, it is community specific. I just wanted to use my 1,000 units to give you, 15,000. I don't know of a management fee in the $15,000 range. That would probably be about a 20,000 unit, 10,000 unit community. Yeah, so I'm not sure where the number came from, but typically, yeah. Very different. Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't go to that company. Okay. Oh, okay. No. But again, it would be, at the time somebody says, hey Pam, will you bid my community? We have to go look at the community. We have to see what the man hours are gonna be to maintain it in there. And then that's how you base the bid. Yeah, that's pretty typical. That's pretty typical association, yeah. No, but you look at that and you look at the usage of the staff because things change too. With the software we have, just to be honest, my manager goes out and does compliance, does the violation tour. Because the software works the way it does, when she hits send, it uploads all the information into the homeowner account. You can log in right then. It's in real time, see the violation, and the letters are printed and gone in an hour. So when you look at that kind of efficiency that's created by software, as opposed to somebody sitting there typing letters, it's just a difference in labor and that kind of thing. So it's converting Japanese to German, kind of. So, but we walk you through the process, and during the bid process, we'll go ahead and answer all the questions, but that's kind of how it works, if that helps, yes. Yes.
How many buildings did they have, and how many swimming pools did they have?
It was very small infrastructure. They had a clubhouse situation with a pool, and they have an RV lot and private streets. So, yeah, each one's different, it depends. Yes.
So does your evaluation consider seasonal employees or the management or maintenance?
It does, but typically because, like I said, the software, there's just that's one thing that we do with it. And I started in this industry 18 years ago, and we did not even have email. It was electronic mail and it was started. So, I was typing letters in Word and sending them out to people that had weeds and different things in their yard. Comparatively, things that took me 8 hours 18 years ago would take about 15 minutes now. So the number of employees is dependent on that too, if that makes any sense. When you're going from not having that kind of help to having the software and the availability and Same thing with like homeowner websites and things, everything is uploaded, homeowners have an opportunity to review everything. In there, that you can post a payment, everything's online, and you can actually, and it's real time. So when you hit it and you post it, you can actually see it hit your account. So it's, you know, and when you have seasonal people, we don't see a change in seasonal. And I have an active adult in Surprise called Happy Trails, and I also have Solera at Johnson Ranch out in San Antonio Valley. We don't have seasonal employees because just the efficiencies that we have. So we know the influx is coming at our active adult communities because a lot of people are gone now, but we don't see that. So, and if there were a situation where extra help is needed, I have staff. So we take care of it that way.
But if you place the manager in the office, you're.
You have, yeah, it's our manager that's trained and credentialed and everything, but that's your employee, that's your face that you're gonna see every day. That's the person that takes the direction from the board and maintains the property and works with the vendors. Kind of like you were asking about Clint's legal fees for the association. Clint is a vendor like I'm a vendor. You just don't see us that way. You see us as the attorney and the management company. But we're a vendor just like your landscaper, your pool guy, you know, everybody else. We're just the vendors that kind of oversee things. Yes?
I'm gonna ask my question again, and maybe I'll get an answer.
Oh.
We have a self-managed park.
Mm-hmm.
We are having problems with the board not doing as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
What would the advantage be having a professional management company come in when the board is your boss?
Here is the advantage we have. We are a professional management company. We have board training available, and we will train your board. We will train your board. Here's the other thing that happens, and this is the other thing I see going from self-managed to professionally managed, okay? When we take over, there's one board member that's giving direction. That is not. Clint, does one board member have any power more than the others? No. So, we do not take direction from one board member. It is the majority. So, that's another thing that we see that kind of corrects a lot of issues too, because if you have 5 or 7 board members and they're all doing different things, but yet they're voting on one thing in the meeting, and the day after you have a board member calling saying, well, no, hold off on getting that bid, even though it was approved the night before, that's not something we're gonna do. And you have communication, but if you teach them to work together as a team, is bring them together. If one board member submits a question, the response is provided to all board members. They all have the same amount of voting power, so no one is different than the other. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, pardon me?
Even though one of the directors, the.
It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're, you know what it is? The difference is the duties. And correct me if I'm wrong, Clint. The president has it, you know, their job is to run the meeting. You know, the vice president's there to step up and run the meeting if the president isn't there. They all have separate duties, but they all have the same voting power. There's no one position that has more. Does that make sense? Okay.
I was also going to say, one of the things you said about benefits, if you take a look at all of the litigation cases out there, I see, you know, my favorite clients are self-managed because they bring the most business.
Yes.
They're the most lawsuits in self-managed.
They are.
There really is. So we'll leave it at that. That's another big benefit is if you want your money to go to me in a self-managed, I'm more than happy to take it if you want to stay self-managed. But I find that litigation cases, there are a higher volume of those kinds of issues, legal issues in self-managed versus professionally managed. But Mike, thank you again for bringing up those questions. I promise, full disclosure, I didn't plant him in the audience. In fact, I didn't know your name until I saw your name tag.
We have one
Right?
more question too, Clint, right here.
Yeah, but
Do you not also offer legal or ethical advice if you see something going on with the board or whatever, and if you consider it maybe not ethical or illegal, you do offer advice concerning it?
I do it all the time.
I do too.
Yeah.
And so does Pam. And here's
And
the
I
important
think-
part. The important thing is what I was going to is if I have a client, okay, and I know that what they're doing is wrong, I have an ethical obligation to advise them of the consequences. And that's why it's so important that these are attorney-client privileged letters, because the board needs to know all of the pros and all the cons of what's going on and be fully informed, because sometimes, more times than not, a board, when they hear what I'm saying, like, oh wow, I didn't even know that. Okay, I'll move forward. And the issue is corrected, but you don't want to have that kind of stuff just out in the open, because you want to make sure you have a very candid discussion with the board on what's wrong with that.
When the people are leaving, if you if you're leaving a little early, if you've got one of these evaluation sheets, please leave it over here with me. Thank you.
And the other thing I wanted to point out, like Clint said, he does address boards that are doing things incorrectly or possibly not in compliance with the statutes. When you're a credentialed community manager, we have a code of ethics that we have to abide by to keep our credentials, along with, I have to do about 40 hours of continuing education every year as well. So yes, on Clint's side and my side, yes, we do advise our boards if they're doing things incorrectly, we do it in writing, and we make sure that they're aware of what the consequences could be if they continue to do so. Yes?
There's been some questions whether or not, if you go with a management company, are they on-site managers or off-site managers?
You would have a manager assigned to your community. That person would work on your property 40 hours a week. I actually go to visit my on-site managers. I was at Happy Trails in Solera last week, touching base with my manager, Jill, and my manager, Ed. Other than that, they're in my office about once a month for training, but they report to work at your property. That's where they work. That is their office.
And that's where they spend their 8 hours a day.
That's where they spend 40 hours a week or more, yes. Yes. Yes.
That's 40 hours a week during the summer too.
That's 40 hours a week, 52 days a year. With the exception of holidays, we do let them have Christmas, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, all that good stuff. Yes.
Are we required as a nonprofit homeowners association to provide health benefits to employees?
No, well, it doesn't fall under health.
We do, are you?
Yes, we do. And as I said, if we handle your employees on our payroll, they would be subject to the same benefits that my employees have, the same. They're they're basically on my payroll, but they are at your discretion. Those are your employees.
But you are required to.
Yes. Yes, because we have over 200 employees. So yes, I think the number is under 50.
Yeah, 50 is fair.
Right, and then 4 times that size. So yes, we do. Yes.
I know I'm exceeding my question. But, we've had a lot of numbers thrown out around the association about your costs and $300,000 and numbers like that. I would like the people in here to leave with these numbers, and these are factual numbers taken off of our annual budget and the amount of money that we collect as an association and the employee expenses that we currently have. We collect $447,568 in annual assessments. Of that, employee expenses is $216,638. Again, $216,638. That's 48.4% of the annual assessment.
Yeah, let's grab, we're running out of time. Let's grab your question, and then what I'd like to do is we're going to go ahead and do the raffle. And then Clint and I will be here for questions after. Go ahead. Yes.
Really not a question, but I have a letter from a member of our park, and there's Dewey at a park now managed, self-managed,
Okay.
versus going with a management company.
Okay.
I don't know, it isn't a real long letter. Would you like to hear the comments?
Yes.
Okay. They moved in 2012 to a summer home in Dewey. They discovered at the meetings that there was quite a bit of fighting between board members and the membership. They went to meetings discussing hiring property management. After 2 of the meetings, the management team was hired by the board. Okay? And here were the questions. The management group took control of the daily operation of the park. We now have a park manager on site with 1 secretary. Maintenance department taken over by the property management. We no longer pay office help or maintenance staff. Property management pays all payroll taxes. Lawsuits go through them. We heard this was crucial. They attend all board meetings, so we stay within HOA and Arizona state statutes. Our assessment went up $12 the first year, 12 the second, no increases since. The treasurer no longer has responsibilities for payroll or withholding taxes or bills. We still have a functioning board and all committees and clubs. In closing, the board made the decision, not a membership vote. We were against it in the beginning, but 3 years later, it's a wise choice. Our secretary loves the management. She reports to one person. And the treasurer does not have the burden of spending unwisely. The board seems to be running much smoother now. We feel it has changed the routine of the park, and it's a real plus. And we feel that Florence Gardens should look into this.
From a homeowner perspective, like I said, we speak in acronyms and everything else, so I think that's really great. And the one thing you need to understand is, if you have a management company working for you, it's a partnership. We're in partnership with the board, we're in partnership with the homeowners. That's our community, we're vested there. I mean, you get to know the people and everything else, so it is. It's more like we're working with you. So what it is just additional staff, additional help, and additional training to help you be successful in managing your community. Yes?
Another question, I want to thank you both. This is very interesting, very
Thank you.